Welcome to your Daily 5 for Wednesday, January 5th, 2024. There has consistently been a level of irony around the fact that Spotify has occupied if not the top spot, certainly among the top spots in streaming services that most people use. I've heard a lot of people talk very favorably about the way their recommendation algorithm works. You see that name everywhere. It's integrated with virtually every type of streaming music, whatever, that you can possibly have. Car services, I think, can use it. It's somewhat integrated. I don't use Spotify, so I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that integration exists even on the HomePod, which is notoriously one of the least connected to anything outside Apple types of products you can get. So Spotify is the dominant or one of the dominant players inside music streaming. But for at least 3, 4, 5 years now, I have picked up on an increasing response about the company being anti-creator, that they share very little of the revenue they make with actual musicians, that they are actively creator hostile. And there was a new example of that when the CEO of the company, whose name is Daniel Ek, said, quote, "Today, with the cost of creating content being close to zero, people can share an incredible amount of content." Now, there's more to the quote, but that one sentence led it off, or at least the quote that I saw. And a lot of people got very upset about that particular sentence. And I understand why. This relates somewhat to what I was talking about when people talk about the internet being free, or the idea of free internet, that free means no cost. And when this individual, and I have no idea whether Daniel Ek is a creative individual himself at all, does any type of creation, or if he's simply just running a company that happens to profit off creativity. I don't know. I don't care. But the statement, either way, betrays what his actual value of creation is. That's the difference. This is the same thing when people equate free with no cost. The idea of the value of creation having a direct tie to the cost of the tools, which can range all over the place, is one of the things that I think drives a lot of people in the creative space crazy, and with good reason. This is an extraordinarily ignorant way to think of creativity. It is absolutely true. On a base level, nothing Daniel Ek is saying there is actually untrue. You can acquire something like Audacity. There are free music tools. There are free art tools. You can actually create for a very small amount of physical money or monetary exchange, or whatever you want to describe it as. You can invest less than $100 and make a very good sounding song, a wonderful looking piece of illustration. You can write a book for virtually nothing, but that doesn't mean that it's a zero cost enterprise. It just means that the tools have become cheaper to be able to do it. The value of creation is in the final work, not in the tools that you use. It is not in the amount of money that you have to pay. A $4,000 guitar will not sound better than a $100 guitar in the hands of a good musician. This is the same for everything. So again, I think the problem here is that what is being said, now whether he misstated, and I'm sure, just wait. By the time this posts, there may be a correction or an update from this individual saying, no, I misspoke. I should have been more specific in the choosing of my words, although I don't for a second believe that that's true based on the way Spotify treats creators. But what this actually indicates is that to this individual, money is what rules creation. That if you're spending money on something, it is somehow inherently better. It depends on what the worth of a work is partially tied to the value of the tools. And that may have been true at one point when tools were gated off and more expensive and more inaccessible, but that is not true anymore. And honestly, was never really true. There were musicians, artists, any type of creative who made do with very, very inexpensive tools or homemade ones and did great work. This has never really been true. This has always been a perception issue. But this does, I think, tellingly indicate how the CEO of one of, if not the dominant music streaming company, values the works that he and others are profiting off of. He sees the value tied into a monetary evaluation as opposed to an end result evaluation. And it is one of the many problems in terms of how creativity is valued in the modern world. It's not a new problem, but when you see things like this, you see sentences like this, you understand why a lot of creative people do not trust companies like this, because this is how they look at creativity, not in the creation itself, but what it is worth in terms of money. Later.